So I suppose that the first question I want to ask you is, what is the most sadomasochistic cup of coffee you've ever had in your life?
Well, if I really rack my brain, it's probably going to have to be the time that I was sat in a cafe in my gimp suit and.
You've never shown me your gimp suit.
Well, we can't play all our cards all at once, George.
Okay, right.
The honest answer is, it's. I guess it has to be this, where we're sat here talking and smelling of SM Cafe from strangers' parfums.
Ever the professional, Chris. I'm trying to break. This is the new friendship that we have now. We just do videos, and you be the constant James Bond professional. I just try to break you at every single turn.
Do your worst.
This reminds me of the last party in Milan. Isn't this weird? Because this I'm glad that this is you and I, because this reminds me of you. This is Essence 2019, and I remember that was the first time I ever met you.
Yeah.
All in Milan, in reality, sure, you know, and it was all downhill from there.
Which may I say was, that was probably the best moment of our meeting, and but I remember that meeting, and it was really strange because I saw you standing outside. We'd been in touch, we'd had phone calls leading up to going to Milan. When I saw you in the flesh, stood at the front of the exhibition, it was like I was meeting a long lost friend I hadn't seen for a while.
Oh, you're so... Come on.
The hug, we just had this embrace, and
yeah. Well, the first thing
we were just so happy I went to see each other for some reason.
Well, the first thing for me was when I actually hugged you. I was like, he's got 3 dimensions. He's not just like some screen, and that was actually like legitimately a bit shocking because like I saw you, and I was like, it's him. And, you know, it was bizarre.
It is a funny thing because when you see people on screen, you see this plane, but when people suddenly turn, whenever I've met someone in real life, you turn, suddenly they have the contours of their face, something that you're unfamiliar with. You're familiar with this left side, but when they turn, they somehow look different. And then when they turn back, you're like, oh, there you are again. Yeah.
People have actually asked me on videos, they've said, George, do you even have legs?
I've seen your legs on video.
Let's not go into that.
Let's stick to our YouTube channels.
Okay. Yeah, this one, I was introduced to Prin by Timmy. And Prin's like a really, really cool, kind of reserved, very gentleman.
Yeah.
And I was smelling, I smell salted green mango and, what is it? It's Arun Sawit. Oh, that's terrible. That's a butchering. Cigar rum.
I have a decant of that. That is one of my favourite. That's probably my favourite from so far. Cigar rum. Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, and of course, he gave me a little sample decant of SM Cafe, and I wore that out to the big party.
Yeah, the final party.
Yeah.
The masked ball that we didn't turn up with masks for.
Yeah.
Of course we would do these days, wouldn't we?
Well, we have the mask, so we had to, get the taxi in these. But I remember that. I remember you and I getting blind drunk for the first time, certainly not the last, and we were raving out to Right Here, Right Now by Fatboy Slim, and it was ridiculous because I was sort of like half drunk, and it was this DJ who, those like really, what's the word? Really self-indulgent DJs where they keep the mix going on for like what feels like hours.
You're waiting for it to drop, and it just never does. Yeah.
It never does.
Yeah.
There's
come on, mate. Let's just get in there. Come on, everyone's ready for it.
Yeah. So it's like right here, right now, right here, and then 5 minutes later, I'm just like
still
right here, right now.
Yeah.
I can do it. I can make it. And so that's a little memory. And another thing is that I remember about that night was it was that candlelit thing right at the back.
Yeah.
And I sat down with Timmy, and Timmy and I were just sat there, and we were just looking at what was it? Was that like a racetrack?
There was an athletics track,
Yes.
and there were steps going down to it as though they were the spectator seats, but they had candles all set as though it was this very old school medieval masked ball gothic thing with the candles. So it was really strange. You saw the candles lead you down, and you're thinking, where into the darkness is this going to lead me? And then there was a running track.
Yeah. And Timmy said to me, "You're looking at this running track and the candles and everything." And he just looked at me, and it was a rare sort of... Because Timmy can be quite insightful, actually, like in his more sort of personal moments. He said some things to me that have like really made me think, this is Imagine Scent we're talking about now. And he looked at it, and he looked at me, and then he looked back at the racetrack, and he looked at me, and he said, "Did you imagine that you were going to be here when you started your fragrance channel all those years ago? Could you have imagined that you'd be here?" And I was like, I don't think so, Timmy. Let's go with presentation. These bottles have changed now.
Yes, this is the older style.
This is the older style. They now have the square ones.
Yeah.
But it's nice, simple. I like the fact that you have the ingredients and
It is simple, but it looks like it's still well thought out, and it's not. It doesn't come across as somebody who has chosen a simple bottle purely because they can't afford a more expensive looking bottle. This looks like there was intention behind it. The way that the label is. You know, this seems silly.
Yeah.
There are so many fragrance brands that send you a bottle, and even very expensive brands, and the label isn't on straight.
Seriously.
Yeah, this is. It could not be straighter.
Yeah.
So
Precision.
I love the little the banding of just a little flourish of texture here, which gives you an idea of what the fragrance might smell like before you even smell it. And the notes on here, the fonts, everything. It's simple. I like it. It works, and I love the size of these bottles.
I love the size of them. I think they're very, well, the word that we used earlier, succinct, right? It's a succinct bottle design. I love the little signature thing, and I like, it's just one texture, which is, okay, this is it. So you look at it, because there's lots of things. There's the ingredients for people who are technical. There's, of course, the nice name and the title for people who are, specific about what they want.
Yeah.
But if you're a visual person, which I am, I can look at that, and I can go, okay. And then I smell it, and 9 times out of 10, it matches. I mean, the salted green mango is the blue and green one, and it's perfect, absolutely perfect.
Yeah, that's a nice little touch, attention to detail. It's subtle but effective. I like it.
So I'd probably give it 5 out of 5, and even though it's simple.
I couldn't imagine wanting anything more from the presentation of how that smells. I think it's perfect.
It just is what it is, and sometimes that's just the best way of doing it.
Understated. That's what I like about it.
Do you want to spray?
I do. Yeah.
I think you've already.
Try down here, so let's have an opening here. Yeah.
Okay. I'll do one as well. Okay, so first thing, right, super high quality.
I don't even need to hold it up to my nose.
I'm like here.
To get the smell. It draws you in. There is, what is it? Obviously you get the coffee, but maybe it's even a bit of the alcohol, but it almost gives me, I don't think there's incense in here, but it gives me a coffee incense vibe.
Myrrh.
Right, okay.
No.
Okay, I didn't think there was incense in there, so
No.
a bit of the resinous myrrh combining with the espresso-like strong coffee accord.
Yes.
Instantly brings me into it.
Second it, because you've got them. I mean, the notes are just like delicious. You can read these notes out and you're just like, ooh, wow. So cashmerean, which is okay, standardized kind of thing.
Yeah. Nice
Amber,
wood.
tobacco, beeswax, leather, myrrh, cherry, cade, tonka, benzoin, vanilla, cedar, patchouli, lavender, rose. I mean, that's a composition, mate. That is a symphony, orchestra of a fragrance, And do you get those?
I don't get all of those, if I'm honest. No. I'm not sure that I pick up on a strong rose note, but I really do imagine if you had an espresso martini and you threw one of those, what they call machine-made cherries, are they called?
Sure. Yeah.
If you threw one of those in,
Cocktail cherries.
the cocktail cherry,
Yeah, the glazed ones.
that would taste similar to how I think this smells. And there's other things going on built around it as well, but I do really enjoy that about it. That little, it's not strong cherry. You wouldn't smell it and think this is a cherry fragrance. It's just a little hint of that cherry, which I love with the coffee.
Absolutely. I think that I do get the tonkates, but the benzoin. What it is you've got like coffee, which is great, and it's a good smell, but you do have. Well, you said it was balsamic, as you were pointing out.
The most overriding thing I get from this fragrance, and it's a combination of everything, it's the combination of the woods and the tobacco and the resins, but I get a very strong balsamic accord. That's how I would describe this fragrance. It's the strongest accord I think that I get, balsamic accord. And whenever there is this strong, woody, almost slightly sweet balsamic accord, it reminds me of very expensive mahogany furniture, dark wood, and it has a finish on it, and there's a certain smell that furniture has. If you walk into, say, an antique shop and there's a lot of that type of furniture in there, you get this woody balsamic smell.
Nice.
These types of fragrances often make me think of that, and I think it's a memory I have. I think my parents used to have a table in the lounge at home, and it used to have these dark wood legs, and they used to go around like that. Was a very posh table. Yeah. And as a kid, you spend time crawling around it and underneath it, and playing with your toys underneath it. I probably licked it, as you do when you're a child. And I associate this type of smell with the balsamic nature of that wood. Okay. So it's a very fond memory.
I wasn't getting that. Oh my goodness, I wasn't expecting that. But I get what you mean. It's sophisticated. It's posh. It's expensive. I like the furniture thing that you're saying. But for me, it's edible. It has that edible kind of quality. But I like that there's also the things like the patchouli. I get a little bit of the patchouli, which gives it sort of like. Well, it's all resinous, isn't it? It's balsamic resinous. It's my favourite coffee scent. I know that there's other coffee scents. I love espresso royal, and I know about Follow by Kerosene, and that is a legitimately great fragrance. But this is, to me, it takes the elements of coffee, but then gives that sort of woodier aroma and makes it very wearable. And it's fun to wear, and it's enjoyable to wear.
You don't just smell of coffee when you wear this. No. There's a lot of depth and texture and nuance to it, from a little bit of that cherry, some of the tobacco, the mysterious resinous nature of the myrrh. Yeah. Strong coffee accord, yes, but so much more.
Well, I think that Prin, I'm not just saying this, I think he's actually legitimately like a bit of a genius, because, and I don't say that lightly, I love most of his stuff, because the balsamic thing is a signature thing that Prin does.
Right.
Like, you can smell it in salted green mango. You can smell it in cigar rum.
Cigar rum as well, yeah.
He loves that kind of like texturization.
Yeah.
And so what he's doing is he's like, oh, okay, so I've got this coffee thing. I've got the leather thing, which of course is the SM thing, but I want to make it wearable. But I think that he really thinks very hard about the way that things are composed, because when you read the notes, you're like, that really makes sense. Yeah. And in the order that it's done, it makes sense. I'd love to, I'd be really intrigued to see what he does with something like oud, or leather, or something, or even like civet or something, because I think that he would find a workaround to make it so that it's like wearable and accessible. And there's just a lot of there's something very cerebral about the way that he makes perfumes and makes fragrances.
Yeah, it doesn't smell like notes have just been smashed together because they're notes that might work together. It smells like it has been very meticulously and carefully.
Yeah, there's time on this one, but I love it. I love wearing it. It smells good. Had some compliments actually. Well, I had some compliments from you and Timmy, and when we were in Milan. Yeah. Like from people.
Yeah, I mean it projects quite well. It's not a beast mode fragrance at all. You've got to get within a metre or two, but it does project and perform off skin really nicely, and it doesn't smell too heavy either.
Well, I'd probably give the scent a 5. Easily a 5 actually. I really, really love it, and really think that there's just a lot. And what's cool, I mean, even Jeremy liked it. Jeremy gave me the compliment. Jeremy gave me the compliment when we were in Milan. He was like, that's
worth 100.
That's worth 100. He was like, oh man, it's sick, bro, what are you wearing? And I was like, you don't know this one? And he was like, I was like, yeah, it's my boy Prin, it's SM Cafe. Yeah. So that's great. So yeah, I'd give the scent a 5 out of 5. What's your vibe?
I think I'd have to go the same. For what this scent is doing, SM Cafe, it does it perfectly. Yeah. I can't think of any way that I would like this scent to be improved from what it is, so I'd give it a 5.
That's a good point, and I completely I second that. So with projection longevity, it's like the projection is what you said. It's like, it's good, it's solid. Yeah. It's not maybe as much as I thought it was going to be.
No, sometimes when you've got very woody, resinous, deep, rich things, it can project. But I feel like the notes that might help this project more, maybe things like a fluffy sweet vanilla or more powdery accords that I feel sometimes kick strong, intense woody smells off the skin more. I don't think those notes are in here, so that's why it's not a beast mode fragrance.
But that's by choice, so that it doesn't mess up. I mean, you could put stuff in here that would make it a beast, but it would ruin the sort of the.
You put this on this morning, and I walked into the room you were in where you'd sprayed it, and I poked my head through the door, and you must have been 3 meters away from me, and I said, "Oh, it smells good in here." Yeah. I didn't know that's what you'd put on. But
No, you didn't.
Smell good. Yeah.
I'd say that's a 4. Projection 4.
Yeah. It does project, but it's not.
No. But that first hour is very solid, very solid. Longevity, I'd say 4 as well. Actually, I get decent longevity out of it. I get basically a full day. But it's not like. But if I go to sleep with this on and I wake up, I don't really get it.
Yeah.
I'm not talking like I've become used to it. I'm saying like no, that's basically disappeared.
It's a very pleasant, strong skin scent on me after maybe around 2 hours.
Sure. Yeah.
But if I still want my fix, all I've got to do is smell the skin and I get it, and I'm there. But I do get little wafts as well throughout the life, especially if you spray a little bit on clothes.
Sure,
clothes. It does kick off. I really like a fragrance that doesn't necessarily smash you in the face, as Jeremy might say, for the entire wearing of it, but maybe 4 hours in, 6 hours in, 8 hours in, you just get just a little reminder that you're wearing it. It doesn't have to be constant, just a little reminder. And for me, that's as much as I love a strong fragrance, but I'm happy with that.
Same. Yeah, I get longevity 4 out of 5. Both, 4 out of 5 solid, I'd say. Overall, I think that this is. I've been wanting to review this for a while, but I wanted to review it properly, and I wanted to review it with you, and I wanted it to be.
About this in a cafe before, but it was part of a coffee place, wasn't it?
Yeah. But this is a very beautiful place.
We're in York. We're in a lovely cafe in York, Labottega.
Yes. Not paid promotion or anything.
No.
Saying.
I know the owners, and that's why they've allowed us to sit in here and enjoy a coffee and.
It's good coffee. Good coffee as well.
It's great coffee. Yeah, it's an Italian place. It's proper Italian coffee.
Well, I mean, I can't have a bad coffee whilst I'm reviewing SM Cafe. That would just be ridiculous.
No, and I do just want to say as well, as we come into a close, but I could not think of a better moment to be wearing this fragrance. First off, we sat here discussing it, but we sat here in a cafe drinking great Italian coffee. I'm with my mate, who we've spent the we spent the weekend with, and you know what? Even the fact that it's a Sunday is better than if it were a Saturday. We almost shot this yesterday, but this morning I was thinking, you know what? Sitting here on a lazy Sunday afternoon with my mate, drinking a coffee is absolutely spot on for having a really chilled out conversation about this fragrance. So I will always now, even though we have Milan, we'll always have Milan, but I will always probably now associate this smell with making this video on this moment, so it'll be special to me.
You soppy bastard. But I love it, and I think that it's fantastic. It's one of my favourite fragrances, one of my favourite autumn fragrances, and this will easily be on the autumn list, like sure. no question.
Incredible autumn winter, incredible scent to wear. Yeah.
I'm giving it a 5 out of 5, mate.
I'd have to say.
Don't feel pressure. Don't feel pressure.
No, it's like I said, I love the design and the performance is great. Yeah. And I said I can't see how the scent could be any better than it is for what it's set.
That's high praise.
Yeah. So the fact that I think the perfumer has perfectly executed the brief.
Yeah.
It's a 5.
Well done, Prin. This one's on you.
Cheers.
Right. Should we start having whiskey now then?
Whiskey on a Sunday afternoon, George? You are a naughty boy. You naughty boy. What are we doing, a pure malt review next?